Hello, this is Jeremy Plymell, and I'm here for MIT 805 assignment number 4. Alright, so first off, I was in the Learning Tools group. There were quite a few of us in there with a lot of good information going on. So I'm going to start off first with what did I learn? Well, as the title would indicate, we had tools for learning. So one of the biggest things that I learned is there are a lot of tools for learning. There were quite a few examples given throughout all of the pages that were read, and sometimes you might say that there were too many tools in the toolbox. So the one thing that I did notice, which was great, was the amount of student-oriented / student-driven technology, which is great that the market seems to be leading towards application of tools and apps that students can share their work on, or they're the driving force behind it, not like where something is being given to them or directly lectured at them. Additionally, there were quite a few instances where people posted blogs showing helpful technology to be gained, and that was pretty interesting to read about it. Even the ones, for instance, there was one about technology in the kindergarten classroom, which I have no intentions of teaching kindergarten, but it was still interesting to see what was useful at the lower elementary level versus what might be implemented at a middle school or high school. So for my specific portion, I talked about podcasting in education, and it's something that I've been really interested in, and I've been using it for the last 5 to 6 years about just listening to podcasting. It's a great way to get information. But I was interested to see who was using podcasting in education and if it was being underutilized or not. I feel like that at this current situation, it probably is being underutilized by the vast majority of education. I think that it's a great tool because it allows for things you can listen and receive information on the bus, when they're riding their bike to school, when they're walking to school, and they can still receive information that you want them to have. And one of the ways that I was looking at it was how can you incorporate it in your classroom? And I came up with a few ways. Some of them are very basic, and that's just selecting certain podcasts that might introduce a topic of discussion in your classroom. But that's on the very basic side. The side that I wanted to focus more on was basically having student-driven podcasts. So they pick topics that they're interested in, and they create podcasts to talk about those topics with the broader scope of your curriculum. I got a lot of good feedback from everybody in this group. All right, so my takeaway number 1. The way I did these takeaways is they were tools. Since we were talking about learning tools, there were tools that people introduced. Maybe some I had seen before, maybe hadn't. And the first one that I want to take away is Flipgrid. So I had seen Flipgrid before, but I was on the fence about whether or not I wanted to use it. But after seeing some more research about it and how it's been implemented, I think it's a great idea. Some of the benefits that I see to Flipgrid are the easy interface. It's very easy to get started. It's very easy to post a response. And students have a voice, which was what I talked about earlier, where it's nice to see that apps are leaning more towards giving student a voice and a choice about what they want to do and how to drive their education. Along with that, it gives a good example of performing public speaking, but it's less intimidating because if you make a mistake, you just delete it, you start over, no harm, no foul. And the example from using podcasts was from Megan Hansen. Takeaway number 2, Google Sites. So I have not created a Google site. I have had some experience with this, and so far everything is positive. Some of the benefits are it's an easy design, it's free, and it's widely used. I can really see the benefit in this in education. Since it is free, you can create one for each of your classes. You can post whatever you want on there. And then the example that I got here was student-driven public service announcements by Chris Olson. I really like what he's done with his example of his site. He has each of his sections on there, and the students post what is important to them, and people can view it. I think it's really great that you can use Google Sites for something like that to have the students really be part of the education process. Okay, for group collaboration. So one of the benefits of group collaboration that I noticed from this was collective information gain. It would have been taken a lot longer to get all of those tools that I received if I was just doing it by myself. But with the group effort, we were able to collaborate and able to gain all that information, put it in a location where we can all easily access that information. The feedback was also great because it gave me feedback into how to implement podcasting, improvements that I can make to everything that I wanted to do with podcasting, and then potential problems. So really, I had a pretty good experience with this group, and I want to thank everybody for helping me out.